Hey everybody, it's Michelle LaVore and
Devin LaVore
coming at you, and we're so glad that you're here. And we are going to be doing basically videos pretty much every day, and
probably into July.
Yeah, into July. And what we're doing is we're going through Genesis chapter 1, verse by verse. That's kind of what the Lord has us doing right now. And so, in our last video we did all the 7 days, and it was an extremely long video, and so we just want to be able to break it up, and I think that will really be able to also allow us to elaborate more on each of the days as we go, and kind of just really share more fully what the Lord
We're in a class.
Is doing for us.
God's unpacking some stuff.
Yeah. But before we begin, we want to also, as always, give a huge thank you to everyone who continues to give to us. Truly, it's just such a blessing from the Lord. So huge thank you to all of you.
Yes.
And if you would like to give to us, we are support-based, and you can just click, we have a PayPal link below, and that's where you can give.
Yep.
So
huge thank you, guys.
Yeah.
God bless. Favor of the Lord all day. Thank you.
So it was really awesome because after we did our video yesterday, our son, I was looking at the book he was in, and the title of the chapter was basically Grand Tour of the Gardens.
Peter Pan.
Yeah, it was Peter Pan. And I was just like, it just really hit me. Because I really feel like that is what God is doing. He's like, we're standing before these doors, and we had a vision of just being before a door. And then I was asking the Lord at that time, well, what's on the other side of the door? And I really felt like he showed me it was the garden.
Well, we had that banquet vision for a long time.
Yeah.
And I was like, I thought it was a banqueting table. It is.
Yes.
That's the garden.
Yeah. And I think the Lord, he chose lots of pictures to say the same thing. And so he was just like, it's the garden on the other side. And so yesterday, after hearing kind of the grand tour of the garden, I was like, that's what the Lord is really doing. He's like, imagine, if you would, that you are standing before these doors, and they lead to this garden. And I mean, you don't really know anything about it. You just know, like, this is going to be awesome. And Jesus is like the tour guide, right? And before they let you in the doors, they're like, hey, I just want to give you a little history about the place and tell you some of the things that you're going to see before we go in. He's preparing you to go in. And that's really what the Lord has been doing. He's like, you guys are getting ready to go into this garden time. So I want to prepare your hearts, give you the history, give you insight and wisdom into what you're about to see, because it is nothing like you've ever seen before. It's not what you've experienced before. We're going into something completely new. It would be
So we're going through orientation right now.
Exactly.
Got your new job? Okay, let's do some orientation.
Yes.
You decreed the new beginning? Okay, cool. You're hired. Come on, let's do some orientation.
Exactly. It would be no different than if you can imagine going to a different planet you've never been to, and it's like, you need to know, what is it like to live on this planet? What are the things that are normal there and not normal?
Girl, going sci-fi on me.
I know.
All right now.
It's going to be different than what you're used to.
When Calls the Heart is going sci-fi on me. All right. Well, you missed your cue there.
Oh. And so I just feel like that's what the Lord is doing. And he is describing the garden. He's showing us and sharing his heart about, this is what I'm making in your life. This is how as we move forward, as I move you forward, and I create the bubble, and I create all of these things in your life, this is what it means to live in the garden. It's different than the wilderness. It's different than what you've been in. And so,
can you imagine a priest who is now then made king? It would be a completely different day-to-day routine. Everything would be different for him. He's like, man, I'm just so used to being a priest. This king stuff is like, wow. But all the things that he did as a priest, the heart that was imparted to him as a priest, is what he does as a king. That's why David was like, the righteous shall rule and rule righteously, and everyone's basically going to be happy.
Yeah.
You know? So, today, we call it day 8, verse 8, whatever. We read Genesis 1:8, which says, "And God called the firmament heavens, and there was evening and there was morning, a second day." Wow. Now that's a major revelation right there. No, I'm just kidding. It's like you look at a scripture like that, and you go, okay, well, what can I possibly get with that, you know? And the night before I got this, I was really thinking about, like, Lord, what are you saying about verse 8 then? I was like, because if this was you, it's just going to have to be you speaking and giving revelation. Because if it wasn't the Lord, he would be clearly directing us in some other direction, right? And so I felt like the Lord, when I woke up, I was just like, and God called the firmament heavens. And the night before, the Lord was just like, that word called stuck out to me. And he called it the heavens. Like, ooh, God named it the heavens. I was like, okay. So this bubble that you're going to create, which is going to be like a hyperbaric chamber that's going to just have this, there's going to be a supernatural accelerated environment in which God is going to place you in. It's going to be a blessed place and all that stuff, but you're going to grow like 10 years in 1 year if you stay faithful and keep going with the Lord, and you stay in the place of the Lord, in the secret place. The Lord's like, I have a name for that place that you're going to be in. And I'm calling it favor. Okay? And I know it's just like, well, the Lord could plant a garden in Eden. That's the ground in which you grow out of the ground, right? I mean, the atmosphere is the favor, and it rains down the mist of favor. It's like, yes, the bottom line is the Lord told me, he's like, I'm calling it favor. You're going to be in favor. Everywhere you look, there's going to be favor. You go out on the planet, everywhere you go, there's sky, right? That's where you're from. You're from Earth. It's like, where are you from? Oh, I'm from favor. You know what I'm saying? It's like, some people are just like, hey, where are you from? Oh, I'm from Nashville. Say, where are you from? Oh, I'm from Detroit. What's up? You know, oh, me, I'm from favor. That's where I come from. You know?
Yeah. Well,
that's my hometown. My hometown is favor.
It's kind of the equivalent. I was thinking about this last night when I was journaling. It very much is kind of like the idea of, we have Earth. And if you were to travel to another planet, you would say, I'm from Earth.
Right.
But then within the Earth, you also have the land, and the lands are called different things. So it was like, well, we're from Earth, but we're really from, the United States. Oh, well, where in the United States? So it's kind of like that. I feel like
micronizing it down.
You know, like the Lord's,
which I'm sure we'll do as we go along.
As we go along, because it's like the Lord's like, hey, I'm calling this favor. This place that I'm putting you in, it is my favor, and everything, it's completely surrounding you. And from there, I'm going to start doing all sorts of things. This is just where we start.
Listen,
the start is my favor.
Your whole world is about to be called favor. Oh, you going through a little warfare in your world of favor. Watch me favor you through that. You see what I'm saying? Your whole world is getting ready to be called favor. And God's gonna be like, we were listening to this new song recently, and one of the lines of the song is like, I'm gonna show you kindness like you've never known. And I'm like, ooh, that's the Lord putting us in favor. So that was pretty much the gist of what we were getting. And one of the things that the Lord said to me, though, that morning, which I thought was significant, he was like, pay attention to what I call something. If I call you an administrator, you can disagree, but that disagreement is going to create a struggle. Until you come into agreement, you're going to have some adjustments that need to be made.
Or I can call you a pastor.
I'm
Just
struggling.
Saying.
No, I'm kidding. That's true. We're going to do a little match here. Ting, ting, ting. A little fencing. A little adjustment fencing. No,
the Lord wins.
But yeah, he's for real. Thank you. I submit. You win. You got me. But yeah, the Lord was like, pay attention to what I call something. I called it heavens. I called it. That's why people today still call it heaven, because that's what it was called by God from the beginning. And you can't escape that, you know?
Yeah, and that's actually what I was really looking at later on in the day, was just like what God called in Scripture. And so, you know, we start off with just the fact that he was like, and he called the light day, and then he called the darkness night. And then it's like, oh, and he called the firmament heavens. And so, and as we go, we're going to continue to see, like, okay, the dry land, this is what the Lord called it, earth, and the accumulated waters, he called it sea. But I really feel like for us, like, you know, the Lord has really been showing, he's like, well, I'm calling the night that you've been in, that's the priestly time.
That's the wilderness,
and the day that you're going into, I'm calling the kingly time. And the heavens, I'm calling favor. And so I'm just like, all right, Lord, I've seen, like, he's kind of, there's this setup that the Lord is doing. And I really feel like he's like, I want you to know where you live. You know, Jesus said when he was here on earth, he's like, you know, we actually are seated in the heavenly realms. Like, we're seated with Christ. That's where we actually live. That's where we reside in the Spirit. It's like, I know. And so it's just that the Lord wants us to know. He's like, when I'm placing you in the garden, I want you to know what it is here, you know. And the priestly, like that nighttime, it's a time of just really, I think, like what we've been through for the last 4 years has been in the night hours, and but it's been this time of the priestly, of just going before the Lord, really receiving revelation. It's that kind of, you can think of a lot of conversations, you know, if you go camping and you sit at night and you've got the campfire going, and people usually just have great conversations around the fire. They're just, they're sharing their hearts.
A lot of deep relationship opportunities there. And that's kind of what it's about, you know. But a lot of times that doesn't happen when you're just on the go, when you're doing this and you're doing that. There's different kind of relationship developed there. Don't get me wrong, but it's just different.
But then also in the priestly time has been a lot of exposure, a lot of just, you know, if you thought about
time
like
to cry.
The priests themselves, they were going, they were interceding, they were going before the Lord. There was prayer, worship. There was a huge need of humility in this season and always, but it's just that those elements of that time is like the Lord's like, that's like the night. You know, that's what I'm calling the night. But then he also has what he calls day, and I believe that we're getting ready to learn what that really looks like as far as the kingly. It starts off with decrees. This is what it's like when you're in the day. And another way of saying that, it could be the night is like the hidden time, and then you have the manifestation time. You have that time with the Lord where you're really in hiddenness. He's really just speaking to you a lot. He's developing you. He's growing you. There's a lot of him just covering you with his mercy as you continue to grow and develop. But then there comes a time of the manifestation. There comes a time when you step out as a king, when you take your place, take your seat, and you start off of the wisdom that you've learned in the night. You start doing and working. It's like it comes out during the day. It's like, oh, I've said to you, you know, do this when you go into the garden. Well, when those doors open and you've entered into the day, it's like, all right, that's the time. It's time to harvest. It's time to go forth with all of that. And so I feel like it's just been really great, because the Lord's like, pay attention to what I'm calling these things. Pay attention to what I'm saying as I'm showing you the garden, as I'm showing you what you're going into, that I'm talking about the priestly, the kingly, and favor. I'm setting all of this up for you. And so we're going to continue with the, you know, as we go along, to see what the Lord calls everything as we go forth.
So there's this movie called Open Season, and it's about this bear and this deer. and the bear lives in town, and one of the lines he says, he's like, yeah, this is my people, this is where I reside, you know. That's why we cracked up there a little bit, because it was like, I was like, did you literally just do that movie quote? I'm like, you totally just did that movie quote, almost dead on. Like, what? Anyway, it was funny.
Yeah.
But anyway, you about to be placed in favor.
You are, and so that's really
your whole world.
Yeah, the whole world is
going to
be
called favor.
Favor, and that's what the Lord is going to surround you with, and so that's really what we have to share from Genesis chapter 1 verse 8, and we will be back again tomorrow with the next verse, and I really am just looking forward to just hearing so much of what the Lord has to share as we go along, and really just kind of get the layout and the understanding of what God is getting ready to put his people in. And so until tomorrow, we will see you later.
Bye guys.
Bye.
Love ya.